Welcome back to PS with Jenn. Today, we're going to have an incredibly important conversation. This is something that is not anti-peptide, it's not anti-supplement, and it's not anti-hormone. What it is thoughtful medication with guidance and consultation, not treat yourself in your kitchen, doing medicine at home after a 30-second TikTok video. What I've noticed is we've become a society where people want quick access to everything. They want to purchase online, no monitoring, no really true understanding of physiology and how the body functions. They're treating each of these concerns or each of these support systems as an individual item when the body works in systems. Its messaging is chronological and it needs to be in order to prevent really significant concerns. I want to dive into the real problem of people taking advantage of quick opportunities to purchase online. It's not about whether something's FDA approved or not. This is a deeper conversation. We use things beyond the FDA approval all the time. We have blood pressure medicines for acne. We have antibiotics for different acnes. These are different things that we're trying to incorporate based on outcomes and being strategic and thinking beyond that FDA approval in certain ways. But what's happening is that people are creating fear because something's FDA approved or not. The quick access of online purchasing is the real problem, the lack of regulation. It's not about FDA approval or not. I noticed a quick conversation with a neighbor recently as she was preparing to treat an injury. Should I use peptides or PRF? Peptides are an incredible resource, and until we have more information or feel confident in our ability to do the research and truly understand something with guided support, really, it can be scary. We notice that supplements are a great example of something we're using beyond the label. We have them for longevity, for insulin resistance, for decreasing inflammation, for gut support. But when done strategically with guidance and with support, you can get an optimal outcome. Without those things in place, you can actually have incredibly terrible side effects. I did my primary care rotation in my nurse practitioner schooling. I remember a woman coming in with no previous kidney failure, and there she was. Daughter had given her a beautiful supplement that had worked for her, but her gut was not in good repair. Her liver was sluggish and not functioning, and it created kidney backup. And so these are things that we really want to be mindful of and aware of as we are navigating these TikTok shops and these ability to purchase online, longevity and wellness offerings. They are exciting. They are not something to be afraid of because it's not FDA approved, or it is. It's more about the lack of awareness, the lack of education, the lack of ability to pause and say, okay, I've received this information online, and that's really interesting. Now, where do I find thoughtful support to integrate this into my lifestyle appropriately? Where do I find a provider who can help me navigate if this is even the right thing for me? I've had people reach out and say, Jenn, I notice your price for your peptides are a little higher. You're not paying for a vial of peptides. You're paying for lab work that is analyzed and has strategy around all of the different functions in your body about where we would start. Do we need to lower inflammation before we incorporate hormones? Do we need to have the ability to support peptides in this longevity and wellness opportunity? Are you sleeping? Do you have core basic foundational lifestyle in place? Or are you making excuses for poor habits that have not driven the success that you're looking for as far as an outcome in longevity, wellness, fitness, recovery, repair, and energy goals, but you think that these quick fixes are going to be the answer? The body is a series of systems, and when you start manipulating pathways without understanding the systems that need to be addressed and what needs support in order for that manipulation to be successful, we create chaos. When we think about longevity and wellness, we need optimal sleep and recovery. We have kidneys and liver that need to be supported in order for your pushing of detoxification. If you're trying to optimize hormones but aren't sleeping well, they're not going to happen. So we don't start with hormones, we start with the sleep and recovery. That could be a peptide, it could be a supplement, it can be a deficiency. The lab work is going to help us to identify where the problem is and to strategize on what order to do things in. When you think about detoxing, I see people in foot soaks and pushing toxins and jumping in the Hocket, but they're with leaky gut, inflammation, and poor bowel movement habits. We need to go every single day. If you're pushing, toxins throughout your body, where do they go? Do they sit and they stay in the gut? A lot of medications will slow motility and keep toxins in there for even longer. What this does is it seeps through that leaky gut and it goes right back into the body, leaving you working twice as hard. When we are manipulating different structures in the body, we are manipulating what's called the mitochondria, and that is the powerhouse of every cell. That tells our body how to function, how to recover, how to sleep, how to push, how to build muscle, how to, have proper intake of hunger hormones, energy, brain clarity. How we perform every single day is based on this mitochondria. And when you're pushing things out of order, you can create a significant dysfunction. I want to take a moment to discuss a devastating case. This isn't for everybody, but in this case, a young gentleman was purchasing GHK copper online. He was not being monitored. I don't know the quality of his product, but he didn't understand the complete physiology of how copper would affect other processes in the body. Zinc and copper fight for the same space. They are balanced, and he wasn't monitoring his zinc because there was no provider to oversee what he was doing. Does this make GHK copper bad? No. It has promising research about longevity, about hair and nails, about wellness and healing. But in this case, this gentleman passed away. He had complete mitochondrial dysfunction. He had impeded the ability for all of those messages of hormonal, kidney, liver function to happen because he did not have that monitoring. He did not have that coaching. He did not have that support and the ability for someone until it was too late to realize exactly what was going on. I've seen this over and over again. The industry gets blamed. Peptides are bad. Supplements are bad. Hormones are terrible. Someone has a negative experience. It's not because of the product. It's because of lack of supervision, lack of support, and lack of medical compliance. So when you're playing doctor in your kitchen, think about this. The pricing matters. Because you're getting something that's less expensive, it doesn't mean that it's always better. We want to make sure that we have that medical oversight, that we have the ability for someone to pivot when things aren't responding the way you had anticipated in your body. We're going to also need continuous monitoring. Just like I talk in different episodes about different conditions, this also needs ongoing monitoring because you have lifestyle changes, you have stress changes, you have illness and colds or little simple things, lack of sleep, stressors that happen in your lifestyle. These are all going to play a role of how your existing efforts may change and pivot. This requires support so that you know not to give up on it. The body whispers, little things of improvement before it has complete transformation. And I see people give up way too early all the time because they don't think that this opportunity is for them, when in reality, they just haven't been monitored and supported correctly to optimization. Unfortunately, the internet has created an environment where everyone feels like more is better. Unfortunately, what we've seen is that creates a lot more chaos, and sometimes doing less is better. What we want to do is make sure that people understand the systems, that you're not trying to manipulate hormones without having a good night's sleep, that you're not trying to lose fat or push toxins without having a healthy gut and a supported liver and kidney. We want to make sure that that conversation of chronological order, support from the chaos, of creating symptoms that are preventable. If you are having skin rashes, if you are having poor sleep, if you're having acne breakouts, it's because things are out of order. And hopefully your results will not lead to something that is more significant and devastating. These other ones are more of an inconvenience, but we know that they're just the start of a bigger problem. I don't want this episode to create fear. What I want it to do is to empower you to find the longevity goals that you have and a provider with medical experience to support you through this journey. Unfortunately, this culture is teaching people to bypass expertise in exchange for convenience. That can be incredibly expensive. If you've taken anything from this episode, it's not always the product, not the peptide, not the hormone, not the supplement. It's the medical oversight. It's the expertise. You deserve more than just access. You deserve strategy, safety, and a thoughtful care plan that has a provider that understands how systems all work together. True optimization isn't about following trends. We want sustainable lifestyle that we can maintain. Thank you for joining us for another important episode. If this resonated with you and you are on your wellness and longevity journey but don't know where to start or how to progress safely, please reach out to Powell Studio. We look forward to working with you.